Sure.
What I do have a problem with, though, is when someone from an organization goes on social media and discourages or brings down another organization and questions their financial viability in a public space. So now that I've got on my soapbox.
Poor Byron, you can leave now if you want. I'm just kidding. Like, oh, where's my bag? Jeez. Welcome to a new episode of the Skittle Squad Podcast. We're happy to have you here listening and watching today. This is going to be your one-stop shop for all LGBTQ plus Tampa Bay and beyond community events, news, highlighting nonprofits and local businesses. My name is David Smith, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host.
I'm Paul Pfeiffer.
Paul, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome.
I love your t-shirt today.
Oh, thank you.
So if you haven't heard, Paul likes to wear a different t-shirt message every episode. And what's today's message?
So it says ADHD, and that stands for Attention Deficit. Hey, donuts.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And see, you don't have ADHD. You read the whole thing.
Okay, so I feel like today is Pick on Paul Day because first I was told I have a muffin top, and now I'm being told I have ADHD.
Well, so, just for the record,
what is happening here?
For the record, I do want to say that you told me you had ADD before I ever said anything. Undiagnosed.
Like people have told me that. They're like, I think even Rachel Cavello, when we had her on, she was like, oh yeah, you have ADHD.
She did, guys.
So, and I probably do because my mind does go 150 miles an hour all the time. And my attention is like,
So tell us, like, why do Rachel, why do you think people say that?
Because and this is going to sound really rude, but when someone is talking to me and I'm interacting with someone, I'm engaged for like maybe the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then after that, my mind just starts wandering. So I'm like, I'm thinking about other things. I'm not completely listening 100%.
Right.
Like I could never be a psychiatrist because
you would just start wandering.
Yeah, my mind would just start wandering and I wouldn't be listening to what the person was saying.
So are you like that? Like, let's say you sit down and you watch a movie. Are you able to engage with the whole movie?
So I can engage with the whole movie and be immersed in that situation.
Okay.
But like social media, for example, and I think social media is probably the blame for a lot of this because I feel like I'm constantly like scrolling on social media and I'm just I lose focus.
Well, the dopamine, it's the dopamine hit when you're scrolling through that social media.
Yeah.
And so that could probably translate out to real life when you're talking with people or things like that. You never know.
So I do have, here's the thing you don't know. So I do have an appointment on May 19th after I get back with Metro Health to talk to someone to see if I really do have ADHD.
Oh, that's so interesting. Please stay tuned for the results.
So cliffhanger.
Oh, I'll be so curious to see what they say.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I recognize it's a problem. Like I can't stay focused on things for very long. It's a wonder that I'm even on a podcast because, you would think I would be tuning out from the guests and everything, but I do stay engaged when I'm on the show. You
absolutely do stay engaged for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But any other time, like even if I'm in like work meetings and stuff, have you ever been in a work meeting? See, this is the ADHD because I'm like going on all these tangents. So have you ever been in a work meeting where you're like, you have one person in the meeting that just won't shut the fuck up?
Of course.
And you're like, oh my God. I'm like, can you just shut up so we can end this meeting already?
Yes, for sure.
You get pulled into a meeting and you're like, all of this could have been done by email. Like, why are we
here?
Like, why are we on Zoom right now when, I could be doing something else? And I'm really bad about multitasking.
Okay.
And there's something that happened to me recently where I was talking about I was multitasking and I had my Zoom screen covered up.
Okay.
Because I was working on something else while in the meeting and did not realize that my boss was actually in the meeting and said something not bad about my boss, but saying something to the effect of, I'm overloaded. I'm the only person, working on this, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden I hear her voice on the Zoom call and she's like, well, first of all, you're not really the only person that's working on it. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't realize she was on a Zoom call.
Oopsies.
Because I was multitasking and I had the Zoom screen covered up.
Right.
So yeah, oopsie. But anyway, so. Yeah.
So it's so interesting to hear your perspective, right? Because I have the literally exact opposite experience. So my effective listening is so engaged that if I miss just like 2 or 3 words from a person, I want to like have them repeat themselves. I'll be watching a TV show, and if I miss like, let's say a couple sentences, I'm going to pause, rewind, and re-listen.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah. And so when I'm talking with people, I am like 100% engaged. I am engaged and I'm listening to every single word that they say without fail. And you know what? It can get exhausting after a while.
I was going to say, so I'm sure you and I have had conversations before where you're like thinking to yourself, he's totally tuned out. Like,
well, I mean, yes, I don't know what else to say, but I mean, that's just, we're all our unique personalities. And so what? Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. So,
well, I love your t-shirt. And, I do like going back to that social media component because, I'm in training. I design training programs. And as the years have continued on, it's gotten to the point where people don't even want to read anything anymore.
No.
People want a quick micro video. If it's over a minute, it's too long. And so really a big training concept now is really just designing these micro videos like they are social media reels.
Yeah.
It's so bad now. Sometimes I'll insert like a cartoon character, or I'll insert something like flashing over the screen just to keep people engaged, just because otherwise they're not even going to pay any attention.
Yeah. I mean, so my other day job, I have to read regulations.
Oh, God bless you. That's got to be boring.
And legal regulations. And I'm to the point now where I throw that shit in AI and I ask it to summarize it for me. Because
idea.
I'm like,
idea.
I don't have the attention span to read 500 pages of a regulation.
I cannot even imagine.
Like, I'm just not going to do it.
Wow.
So I'll throw it into AI. I'll have it summarize it. And then that's what I go with.
Now, do you have a proprietary AI your company uses?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. I think AI really, if a company doesn't have AI at this point, they're really, really behind the times.
Well, that's the thing. And they're encouraging people to learn AI. Like, if you don't have the drive to learn AI, you're going to be left behind in the workplace.
Well, they're calling the new profession prompt engineers.
Yeah.
And it's an entire career just about prompting AI.
Yeah.
So it's going to, I know in my workflow, it's definitely improved things, made things quicker, made things faster, more efficient.
Well, you use it for the show.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about like my professional, but even for the show here, we definitely use it, and it just makes things so much quicker.
Yeah. So it's the future, that's for sure.
Well, we probably should go ahead and take a quick break, and we are excited to invite on our guest, Dr. Byron Green, and he is the president of St. Pete, and we'll be talking with him in just a couple moments. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're excited to introduce our guest, Dr. Byron Green 𝐿𝐿, president of St. Pete Pride. Welcome, Byron.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you on.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to be here. I've seen all of the really cool social media stuff that you all have been doing, so I'm happy to be amongst the number.
Well, it's such perfect timing because St. Pete Pride is coming up.
A lot faster than you would think.
Right,
and these gray hairs are actually not mine. They're actually St. Pete Pride's.
Wow. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Well, tell folks a little bit about you, maybe a little bit of your background, history.
Yeah, for sure. So My name is Dr. Byron Green-Collish. Byron works just fine. Or Dr. BGC if you find me on social media.
Okay.
I came to Tampa Bay in 2018. I worked in higher education for about 10 to 12 years. Depends on what you count in there. I did some consulting work. And work a ton in the equity space. So I did my dissertation and all of my research on DEI, which is a really fun place to be in right now.
Right.
I now do equity work with a podcast company, PRX. I also have a lot of volunteer opportunities that I get to dabble in. I started a nonprofit with my best friend, Representative Michelle Rayner, called Justice Over Everything.
Okay.
So we do a lot of civic education and civic involvement, getting people involved
I love that.
the legislative process and really understanding what's happening in Tallahassee here in the state of Florida and what that looks like across the country. And then because I have so much free time, I also am the board president for St. Pete Pride, which is the largest pride organization in the state of Florida and amongst the top 10 prides in the country.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
We're like hovering around number 6. So we're trying to really break through that top 5.
Okay. And so how long have you been the president of St. Pete Pride?
I am going into my second year, second season. This year, it has been an amazing opportunity, but I've been with the board for about 4.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's so many things that we want to talk about.
I'm sure.
So it's just, I'm going to let Paul kind of kick it off here.
I don't know if you caught the first episode or not, but we did bring up all the prides on the first episode. And I am a big cheerleader for St. Pete Pride because I think you all do an outstanding job on your Pride event. Last year I marched in the parade and I went to the street festival, and you all seem to have a lot of good activities going on during that time. So I'm always going to cheerlead loud for St. Pete Pride.
Thank you.
With that being said, getting a little bit controversial here. One of the things that we did discuss was, Winter Pride started this year.
Sure.
And originally there was a lot of confusion because they were using the Pride name and they thought, oh, this is a part of St. Pete Pride, and then found out that that wasn't the case. It was 2 totally separate, events. And one of the questions that we asked was, and we actually polled, was, is there room for 3 different Pride events?
It's Tampa Bay.
In Tampa Bay, because you have Winter Pride in February, you've got Tampa Pride in March, and you've got St. Pete Pride in June. Yeah. Overwhelmingly, people said, yes, there is room for 3 events. And I don't disagree with that. And I'm not trying to knock down anybody who wants to do something new within the community.
Sure.
What I do have a problem with, though, is when someone from an organization goes on social media and discourages or brings down another organization and questions their financial viability in a public space. That is where I have a problem because we should be joining together and lifting each other up, not putting each other down. So now that I've got on my soapbox.
Poor Byron, you can leave now if you want. I'm just kidding.
Where's my bag? Jeez.
So now that I've gotten off my soapbox, what are your thoughts in terms of the different Pride events that we have? Is there room for 3 different Pride events? How can we be joining together as a community versus trying to be divisive and separate?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are actually more than 3. So there's also Come Out St. Pete. There is another organization that is going to be coming up this year that we're actually really excited to support, and that's Sapphic St. Pete. Yes. So Rachel Cavello is leading the charge over there. I'm a very deep believer that the queer space is large and it is a very big tent. And I do genuinely believe there is space for all of these events. And because we are a big tent community, having more spaces to celebrate and be lifted up is really important for all of us. I think now even more than ever, reminders of queer joy is needed when our when our siblings are under attack, specifically in the trans community,
Yep.
like we need to come together more now than we ever have in the past. And I know in the past 20, 30 years, there's been this move to be more accepting of queer people in straight spaces. And I laud that, and I'm really excited to exist in straight spaces, but I do remember the opportunities that we have to build deeper connections and deeper bonds when we are in queer spaces together, and to deepen those relationships where we can reach out and I make a phone call to you and you're like, oh yeah, absolutely, I got you. You need me to show up on your thing, I'll show up to your thing. And we really can tag team and support each other in ways that are going to bring our community together. One of the things that was really important for me when I took over the presidency, when I joined St. Pete Pride overall, was to make sure that St. Pete Pride was representative of as many people as possible.
Absolutely.
That we needed to see different bodies. We needed to see different abilities, status. So we need to see different sexualities, different genders, all the representation, different races. It all needed to be showcased in our organization. And that's a tall order.
Right.
Like even having an executive director that was genderqueer, leaning to the female side in the last 3 years, and a president before me that was a lesbian, and 2 vice presidents that were myself as pan and Black, and Stephanie, who was our vice president, still our vice president, as a lesbian bisexual woman. Like, we can't cover the gamut. So I do genuinely believe that St. Pete, Tampa Bay at large is big enough and queer enough to have more queer organizations lifting up and celebrating that. There is no reason that St. Pete should not be on the same level as a Miami or as an Atlanta or as a San Francisco. Like, Tampa Bay is gay.
Right.
So
True.
Yes, I do. I never celebrate the disparaging of any organization. I do believe that there should be more joining together and coalition building, and the more that we can lock arms together across difference, the better that we're going to be as a community overall.
Right. I agree.
And like you mentioned, there really are, Paul and I have been focusing on 3 prides, but really there's like a Dunedin pride. I think there's like a Largo pride.
There is.
And there's probably even more. And so it's just interesting, really, honestly, really using the podcast, really, we should get the word out for really all of them.
Absolutely. And St. Pete Pride, there is a pride coalition of all of the Florida prides. And you are correct. There's Largo and Clearwater and Dunedin and Gulfport and a ton of really dedicated individuals and volunteers that are really looking to create queer spaces across Tampa Bay in general. And just because we are the largest of those groups, we try to attend as many as we can, specifically here in the Central Florida I-4 corridor. But we go all the way down to Miami. We go all the way up to Jacksonville, really trying to support as many pride organizations as we can.
So it sounds like really that you have a vision for really expanding it. And who doesn't want to be number one, right? Like, we want to be number one on that list. So do you have some like visions or like maybe some like short-term goals and then long-term goals to like get St. Pete Pride there?
We do. So over the past few years, we've really focused on taking our programmatic offerings outside of June. So we've had smaller programs across the year, not just red and green, but our the court that represents St. Pete Pride has been the programmatic drivers of our year-long programming. So we really allow them to show up in spaces, and we make sure we pay them. They do the programmatic pieces, and we kind of follow their lead. So that's been really exciting, and we're going to double down on that this year moving forward. Great. So you're going to see St. Pete Pride showing up outside of June. So this year you're going to see coming up May 2nd, the Shades of Pride is actually going to be kicking off. St. Pete Pride is going to be in the 25th of May. Then we'll take a little break in July, and then you're going to see programmatic offerings ramping up all the way through August. I
absolutely love that. I do think it's about like keeping that visibility year round. When I went on the St. Pete Pride website, I did notice that. I did notice there's a whole slew of events for the whole month, May and June. So that's really exciting. Yeah, so
we just had a LGBTQ resource fair that was headed up by one of our really amazing community managers. Their name is River. and Justice Over Everything, we partnered together to bring together a ton of activists and educators and health professionals to really inform the queer community about what's happening currently in the political space, but how they can engage, how they can stay safe, and how they can engage in resources.
Oh, I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Let's take maybe a step back for a second.
Sure.
So maybe folks that aren't familiar with St. Pete Pride, do you have any numbers you can share as far as maybe number of attendees or maybe the number of vendors or the number of folks in the parade? Because it's very impressive just from an attendee standpoint. And I'm sure you've got maybe more specifics.
Absolutely. So over the course of the entire month of June, we interact with about 500,000 people.
Wow.
That flexes up a little bit, 500 to 525,000 over the course of the entire month.
That's amazing.
Over Saturday, Parade Day, Parade and Festival Day, we engage with 350,000 people that swarm onto downtown downtown waterfront St. Pete. It is absolutely like mind-blowing how many people you are going to see on Parade Day. We have over 200 parade entrances that will be in the parade. We have close to 350, I believe, vendors that will be on site.
Amazing.
The food trucks are also like a chef's kiss, the food. So that is absolutely amazing as well. So the span itself is magnanimous, and the economic impact itself is also a really massive driver for all of the businesses in downtown St. Pete and into Grand Central. So we really try to push and funnel people down Central into the Grand Central district, which is actually where St. Pete Pride was began. And birthed.
Do you know how many years St. Pete Pride has been happening?
We are on 23.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay.
We're 23.
Wow.
We are a full-grown adult paying taxes.
Able to drink.
We're able to drink. Yeah. We're really zooming forward to year 25. We'll be able to rent a car. So we have definitely been here in the St. Pete area, which is actually a part of the theme for this year, which is rooted, that we wanted to make sure that the community members understood that we are deep here in St. Pete and we care very deeply about this community because we've been here for so long.
Right.
Yeah, I have to honestly say I feel very nervous right now because of the responsibility that you have. So it's got to be a lot. I mean, you've got 500,000 people coming. So you just think about that magnoscope that magnifying glass that you have. So it's like, what type of messaging do you want to put out with that? And we've touched on a little bit of it, but it's just such a powerful responsibility. It
is, and I don't take it lightly. I think it is. I joke about the gray hairs, but they are there for a reason. I do think deeply about how St. Pete Pride shows up as an organization, the legacy that has been created by all of the volunteers that we've had in the past over 23 years. This is a beautiful thing to have an organization that has lived and breathed without consistent leadership or people that kind of are the through line all the way through 23 years. Like, we've had executive boards that have turned over. We've had leaders, executive directors. The organization breathes and continues to be viable because community members step up into those leadership positions. So I take it as a great honor, and I'm very humbled by it. But I do think a lot about how are we going to continue to be a viable organization? How do we stay connected to our community members, and that we are around for years to come, that my kid is able to celebrate now, but they want to be able to run the organization one day or volunteer in ways that make sense for them. So we do think very deeply about that.
How many volunteers does it take to pull off the Saturday?
My God.
A lot.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. We have a really phenomenal volunteer corps, about somewhere between 150 to 100 volunteers that you'll engage with over the course of Saturday. But we have a group of about 200 that helps us throughout the year.
That's amazing.
Everybody, including myself, are all volunteers. We do have the executive director and two 3 part-time staff members that work with it, but the only full-time person is our executive director. So everybody else that you see that works with St. Pete Pride is volunteering their time. They do not financially benefit from the organization at all. Everything that we raise goes into the putting on of the event and giving back out. So we give
that's wonderful.
a tremendous amount of money back out to the community. We pay entertainers more than market rate. We have community grants that we also offer out for community members that have emergency needs that come up or need support over the course of the year. So people think that like, oh, St. Pete Pride is like this big money machine. And as soon as the money comes in, we're giving it right back out.
Right.
And then is there any ticketed events for St. Pete Pride, or is it, I know the parade, obviously you go, there's no cost. Yeah. There's the street festival, which is amazing. There's no cost. And I think that's really important for the community to have that access without paying for it. But are there any like ticketed events?
There are a few ticketed events. So Shades of Pride is a ticketed event. So that the larger event is a low cost. There is a VIP experience. This year we are bringing back T.S. Madison from RuPaul's Drag Race, and the Fag Talk is the name of her YouTube show. So we're really excited to have T.S. Madison come back and really have a great time. We will have a ticketed event for Transtastic. Transtastic is happening this year. We will be at the James Museum this year.
That's a great location.
A phenomenally beautiful space. We have some really amazing talent that will be joining us, but that is ticketed. We have made that a ticketed event. It has always been a ticketed event, but making sure that we're able to double down on security, making sure that we don't have any no situations come up. So really, we have tried to balance both between making sure that we are able to bring in great talent and provide safety in that same space.
So everyone can get all that information, I'm sure, on the St. Pete Pride website.
All of it is on the website. I have spent tireless hours working with our website designer so that it is available and out there. All the things that you need to see are on stpetepride.com.
Now, I am putting you under the microscope here. Do you know if it's too late to enter into the parade or enter into being a street vendor? I'm guessing it's not too late.
It is not too late. I'm looking at the date, and you have a few more weeks. About a week and a half to get those, and we want to make sure we lock those down as quickly as possible.
Nice.
But if it is open, go for it. We will be making an announcement when our close date is and emailing all of the vendors that have been with us in the past. We've sent emails out to them, and we're trying to make it incredibly accessible to anybody, any new vendors as well. Like, if you want to come on, we want you to come on. So
excellent.
We want to highlight as many queer businesses as possible.
Yeah, I think it's really great because you have that history.
Yeah.
So you probably just have repeat parade entries, repeat street vendors, and so that I'm sure makes it a little bit easier.
It is a beautiful relationship. Like we had a moment earlier this year that we cannot do St. Pete Pride without our community members.
Right.
Like, we are because of them. So we always want to continue to reach back out to any performers that we've had in the past, to vendors that have been in the past, to businesses, and say, hey, we're back up. Or do you want to come back on board again this year? And we do that 2 or 3 times throughout the lead up. And then we always want to bring on new talent. There's always new talent. Yeah. I think you just saw Jules Sparkles was number 2. Yeah. And Jules is like a Tampa Bay girl. And I was like, that is wild that one of our girls made it to the finale. But that is indicative of the level of talent that is here in the Tampa Bay area. So we always want to foster new talent coming in. So
that's amazing.
We want to reach back to our founders and the people that have really allowed us to move forward, but make space for our new folk.
So I feel like I would not be a good interviewer if I did not ask, you've talked about entertainers. Is there anything exclusive that you can share on this show that hasn't been announced yet of an entertainer that's coming on?
What time is it? Oh my gosh, it's 4:00. There is an announcement that will be made about the Friday night performer. That is going to be Bernard Durand. Bernard is phenomenal R&B artist. He has a Tiny Desk concert where he dressed up like one of the characters from the Proud Family, which, wild. That is really exciting. That is going to be a great night, a great date night to come out to hear some really soulful music and engage. We have a little secret tucked under our under our vest for Saturday night, so I can't tell you about that.
Paul, do you know what that is or no?
No,
okay.
no,
You know,
that's
we keep our cards very close to the test. But we're really excited about that. We have one of the Wayans family that is going to come and be with us for the Women in Comedy event.
Cool.
So that'll be really exciting.
So that's one of the things that I love about St. Pete Pride is the entertainment is always top notch. Like I remember the year you had, I mean, I'm going to age myself a little bit, but when you had Tiffany and Sheena Easton, I was like, oh my God, I was all for that. And then I think you had Thelma Houston recently, and I was like all into that.
You were on it.
I was like, so I'm dying to know like what the entertainment is going to be like this year.
We had Adina Menzel and Todrick Hall.
Yes, I'm
amazing.
all about the entertainment for sure.
Yeah, I'm more newer to the area, so I don't know all of that history, but it sounds absolutely phenomenal.
It's always a great time. And we've even had some artists that I did not know about come, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that like I would like this artist. But we have an entertainment committee that makes all the decisions for the entertainers that come to the event. So people are like, Byron, you chose like your artist. I have no say over the entertainment at all. It is a community group that come together and they give us suggestions, and some of our staff really helps coordinate that. So I am excited. I'm always excited to hear. I'm like, you waited on bated breath.
I know. I'm like, who is it? Who's it going to be?
So yes,
Paul wants the 411 now.
right. A lady never tells all of her secrets.
Well, you're definitely multifaceted, so we definitely want to dive into a couple other things about you. But what would be your final maybe takeaway for the audience for St. Pete Pride?
For St. Pete Pride, it is engage with us. That this organization, again, we are because of our community. That we care very deeply about our community members. I care very deeply about every piece of feedback that people send me. I take an opportunity to meet with every community member. It's like, hey, I have a thought about this. Okay, great. Had a phenomenal conversation scheduled with a young man that said, hey, I know St. Pete Pride doesn't exist in the fitness space, but I have some really strong feelings about queer folk in fitness spaces. Could you help us out? And I said, yeah, like I will take any meeting with any community member, because I do believe it is our responsibility with the platform that we have to really fight in every way that we can and make sure that we can maintain our 501c3 status in that space, but to fight where we can and show up how we do. I encourage you all to come out to St. Pete Pride. It is going to be an absolute banger this year.
So everyone definitely hit up St. Pete Pride. It is an event you cannot miss.
And
for sure,
if you stay at home, you will be called loser. I'm kidding. No one's going to call you a loser, but you may have a massive amount of FOMO.
Massive.
That is
FOMO
true.
for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No one's going to call you a loser, but your friends may be on social media posting about it.
Absolutely. I'll be posting all about it. So for sure.
Oh, you're going to be on socials?
I'm always on socials. What are you talking about?
Right. I heard you were like just like scrolling the social media.
Yeah, I'm always on social media.
One time I thought his finger got connected to his phone.
Oh, wow.
Wild time.
Just a joke.
I know, we're joking. No one's going to call you a loser, and no one's phone is going to be connected to their fingers.
No, anything the Skittle Squad podcast can do to help, get the word out, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reach out to us and let us know.
This is absolutely fantastic. And thank you all for the invitation to come and talk a little bit more about St. Pete Pride.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you here and to talk about it. It's just so exciting. I literally was just feeling so nervous when you said there was 500,000 people. I was like, oh my gosh. I was getting nervous. I was like, something's happening.
Listen, we do a ton of safety planning and making sure that people make it home safe. That is my number one objective, to make sure that whatever we do, all of our participants make it home.
I've attended the parade. I've gone to the street festival. Yeah, it's always safe.
Right.
And I've always felt, no problem
Have you been in the parade?
Have I been in the parade?
Yeah, have you been in the parade?
No, I
It's so
haven't
much
been in
fun.
the parade
You
like
should.
you. Yeah. Were you throwing out beads?
Yes.
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 Now, were you throwing them nicely or were you trying to peg people right in the face?
It depends on who it was.
Oh God, I don't want anyone aiming. Where's my camera?
No, I'm just kidding.
No targeting people when you're in the parade.
It's supposed to be like a light throw, right?
Or just a gentle toss.
Yeah.
No, actually, last year I was one of the people that stood beside the car to make sure that people were moving so that, the car didn't run them over or anything
So
like
you
that.
were
So I was
like
more of the safety.
you were the
person.
authority.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have like a security vest on?
I didn't
the
have
bright
like
green
the
vest?
construction YMCA construction worker thing going on. No.
Oh, I thought maybe, what would be really fun is they always have those water cannons. And so, it's a little warm in June. You get that water cannon spray. You're like, spray me.
You're
spray me."
talking about me throwing beads at people and you want to hit people with a water cannon.
Well, it's a refreshing experience.
A water mister across
Yeah.
because humidity is not also at an amazingly high rate.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, it's definitely,
it's very warm.
We're
Yeah.
in St. Pete and Tampa. It's toasty in the summer
It's
for
fine.
sure.
Yeah.
But let's talk about justice over everything.
Sure.
So you had mentioned that briefly. Maybe tell folks more about like the mission and like what you're doing with that.
Absolutely. So we recognize myself and my co-founder, Representative Michelle Rayner, got together one day and we were like, we have been a part of justice work for ages, but there's always been someone ahead of us. And we recognize at this point, it's like, wow, I think it's time for us to step up and really continue the fight. That we recognize that the intersectionality of who we are as humans is what is needed in the justice space. So that we create a tighter safety net so less people are falling through. But I'm an educator through and through, and I recognize that if you want to be educated on what's happening in our state's legislature, one piece of legislation can be 80, 100, 150 pages long. And if you don't have the time to read through all of that, you're missing different pieces.
Talk about this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Right.
It's difficult to ingest and to take time to focus on like, what am I looking for?
Right.
What are the things that they've slipped inside of here? Because while 2025 has been a lot less insidious on its face, there's been a lot more things slid into the language of bills that are going to impact how people's lives are impacted on a day-to-day level.
Right.
So our objective is really very simple, and it is to educate people on what's happening at the legislature and how it is going to impact you on a day-to-day level. That I want you to know more about what's happening, and then I want you to go out and get involved.
Okay.
So we say get informed, get involved. And you can get involved with us. We want you to get involved with other people because we do a lot of coalition building. If you're like, hey, I really care about ADHD. And I'm like, okay, great. Let me get you connected with a nonprofit that's doing work around ADHD.
Right.
Or I really care deeply about not throwing beads at people's faces. Maybe there's a nonprofit that is out there really dedicated to that, right? But it is our job, right? A soft give, right? We want to connect you with who you want to do that work with.
Oh, wow.
It is
okay.
really about making sure that we are not just sitting on our thumbs and kind of letting the moment kind of wash over us. We tell people, if you are unhappy about what's happening right now, do something.
I think part of the challenge really is people just don't know how to get started.
And baby, that's me.
And it's
Okay.
exactly
That is
that's
why
my
we are
point.
here.
Yeah, that's really exciting to hear because this is where you get started.
Absolutely. You have to know, like, what am I angry about? And I talk to a lot of people that say, I'm angry about this, but I think I'm angry at this person. I said, actually, the person that you're really upset with is this person. That job is done by this person and done in this way.
Okay.
So let me educate you on this process. Take that anger and that feeling that you have directed at the system that is going to need to be changed, as opposed to being a Twitter thumb warrior on the internet, right?
Right.
Like real change happens when you get involved in the process.
Yeah, instead of taking out that passion on a mean comment or two on social, you just take that passion out by
Absolutely. And I have been the
contacting you.
target of quite a few mean comments on social media, and I recognize sometimes it feels good to clap back on the internet. Sometimes it's also not helpful, right? For the people that, when things are impacting your everyday life, like I want you to know where to go and how to change it. Like, don't sit in your mess.
Right.
Like, get up, go do something, go to your city council meetings, give testimony, public testimony at the state legislature. You can even submit written testimony for people like, I got a job. I can't just like pick up, drive the 4-ish hours to Tallahassee just to give public testimony. That's okay. You can submit written testimony and it will be read by the staffers in the committee rooms.
Wow.
So
I'm learning something new right now. That's amazing.
And we do training on that and how to do it. We'll walk you through the process. People say, hey, I'm really upset about how the city handled hurricane relief. That's reasonable. Come talk to us. We will show you there are pathways to have conversations about the response and money available to help you fix the things on your property. And people are like, hey, I didn't know I could get money to repair. Yes, the city received millions of dollars to give out, and they just needed you to apply.
Wow.
So we help people apply for that money.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you really are involved with just multiple different, like really everything.
Absolutely. I care about my community. Like I recognize I sit in this place of a lot of privilege, and I want to make sure that I am giving back to the community as much as possible.
I love that.
I have an amazing boss that allows me the space and opportunity to volunteer as much as I do. So I'm pissed about what's happening. So I'm like, all right, let me aim that at the right direction. So that's where we are.
Yeah. And so you said justice over everything. Obviously you mentioned the hurricane. Is there any other like big ticket like topics or items that you guys are like focusing on or working on right now, or?
Absolutely. So we recognize this is an exclusive. Justice Over Everything is working on a program called The Village. And The Village is a wraparound service for nonprofit leaders, for community activists and elected officials across the state of Florida and wider to engage with burnout. That we recognize that so many activists and so many nonprofit leaders are out there giving their level best, like really giving all they have, and they're burning out. And we do a lot of, even elected officials, we donate a lot of dollars to elected officials, and they go and they get lambasted, and it takes a toll on them. And then it is a lot more expensive to get a new candidate elected to a position as it is to keep a candidate in that seat. Similarly, it is a lot more expensive to train a new executive director or a new nonprofit leader, as opposed to keeping one on board. We are creating a wraparound service of service providers, both in mental health spaces, the leadership space, the comm space, legal space, to say, hey, here are all the things that are going to help you stay in this position. We are invested in making sure that you do that and creating a cohort of people that you can lean on, that you're not doing this work in solitude. And we're going to connect you to volunteers across the state. So if you do need to go out and do work, we're going to send volunteers your way to help do that.
That is absolutely phenomenal. Yes, I'm blown away by this.
We have some really amazing community partners that we're partnering with to do this work. But again, it is about coalition building. When I said earlier, I want to be able to pick up the phone and be like, you need somebody to show up. All right, I know 10 people that are ready to show up for your thing, and vice versa. And that's all about relationships.
So how are you getting the word out about Justice Over Everything? Is it just like the daily grind, like social media?
It is both a daily grind and programmatically. So it is kind of instant by instance. It's a volunteer. Right now, both Michelle and I are volunteering our time for this as well. So we're showing up. When we have the ability to show up, you'll see a lot of content coming out for us. Our website has one-pagers on a good number of the policies that were proposed in this past legislative session. We just hit 50 days this past week in the state legislature. So we are culling through our database to things that are not going to move forward in the legislature and make sure that the things that we are watching for, one pages are created for those as well. So we're doing policy watch. We are offering these support services to nonprofit leaders and activists across the space. So if you follow us on Instagram, it's Justice Over Everything. On Facebook, Justice Starts Now. And And I'm on TikTok because my kid told me that I needed to get on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm just now got on TikTok too.
Yeah,
It is a dark hole.
It is a hole, for sure. Absolutely.
You'll see we produce content across all those spaces. So
I feel like that was created for people with ADHD.
My God. And it just keeps going.
Right.
Like, it is never ending. I have to like set a time limit. I jump on and jump off. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think folks just don't realize the back end time commitment.
It is a lot of time commitment, both working with partners. I mentioned a few partners that we have that help us do this work. We have some amazing interns that have worked with us as well. But it is a lot to engage. It's a family business. My husband's involved. My kid jumps in. We had a town hall event 2 weeks ago. We invited people from across the Tampa Bay area to come and listen to what's happening at the state legislature, come in person and voice their concerns. And my kid was there, like helping set up food and passing out
that's amazing.
Educational material. So,
well, as your initiatives change, definitely let us know how we can highlight and support. Because I'm sure it sounds like there's always something new, something different coming on.
We want to continue to educate people, and that education is nonstop. So I will absolutely reach back out to you all.
Yeah, we would love to have you on again. That would be great. So when you came in, immediately Paul and I were noticing that you're in really good shape, and I hear CrossFit might have something to do with that.
Oh my gosh, stop. Yes, I have done CrossFit since 2018. Before I was a CrossFit coach, I was a kickboxing instructor.
Oh, fun.
So fun fact there.
Okay.
So I've done group fitness for a while.
Yeah.
I did CrossFit. I joined CrossFit after a really bad breakup. I moved here and I was like, okay, let's see, like, let me find my community. I knew literally like 3 people when I moved here to St. Pete. And I joined on a dare.
Funny.
Like one of my friends was like, you should try it out. And I was like, dude, like I do equity work. I don't want to go hang out with a bunch of broy white dudes
Right?
like, with their shirts off. Like I'm from the South. We eat biscuits with our meals. And if I was in here, he probably would have called and said I had a little muffin top when I moved to St. Pete. But I met some really amazing people and had a really great community. And they were like, hey, you do group fitness. Would you be interested in being a coach? I got certified. My undergraduate degree is in nutrition science. So that was helpful in that certification process. I went back and got certified again. So I'm a level 2 certified CrossFit instructor. I
that's
love
amazing.
working with people that don't think CrossFit is for them. That is my clientele. So
I'm always afraid with CrossFit that I'm going to get injured.
Everybody says that. And I will say it is our business model to ensure you don't get hurt.
So if you're going to a reputable establishment,
if you are going to a reputable establishment, they make their money by making sure you don't get hurt.
That makes sense.
A good gym is going to ensure that you are giving you modifications, that you are moving in a safe way, that you are weight appropriate, that you are leaning in and challenging yourself and not overexerting yourself in ways that make sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I go to Orange Theory, and so, that's kind of my physical fitness.
I love those treadmills at Orange Theory.
Oh my gosh, the treadmills are amazing. Well, I need Orange Theory because I need to see my heart rate in orange.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to be at the treadmill going about 1 mile per hour.
I did Orange Theory when I lived in Chapel Hill, and I loved it. I was in there with those soccer moms.
Oh, yes.
I hit those splat points, and I dominated every single class. But my competition was off the charts. So I was like, I need my heart rate like at the top.
Okay, that's a foreign concept to me. I have no idea what you all are talking about.
So in Orange Theory, they require you to wear a monitor that shows your heart rate, and then it's splashed on all these different screens on the treadmill, on the rower, on these big LCD screens all through the place. And so if you're not in the right color, the zone, then you know that you need to amp it up, move a little quicker.
It is like public shaming.
It is a little bit like public shaming. Yes.
And it's like, if you're competing. So it gives like a leaderboard too. So like you can see like who's in what zone and like who's working hard and like really exerting themselves.
I need that accountability component.
So I feel like because my heart rate tends to run high anyway, that I would like totally dominate in that because I could be on a treadmill and going very slow and
go.
my heart rate would be like 130, 140.
And really, it is all about your heart rate, not how fast you're going.
No, right.
Yeah.
They measure exertion by heart rate.
Right,
so.
right.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
maybe I need to, I need to get rid of the muffin top that I have. Ooh. So maybe.
Come hang out.
Yeah,
we'll do some
out.
things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do work out of a gym that's here in St. Pete, not in Tampa. So if you want to come on over,
I'm always in St. Pete.
It's a good time. It's a great time. I was actually just there. We had a community event. I partnered with the gym owner. He opened the door to the community and business owners and really did a phenomenal event this morning. So
yeah, that's exciting. It's really, I think, all about just finding what works for you
100%.
and doing it. Yeah, I guess got to keep moving.
I don't tell
sure.
anyone to do one specific thing.
Okay.
Like, my husband doesn't do CrossFit. He's like, that's not for me. But he has a workout plan that works for him. Mm-hmm. It works for me. I like the community. I'm incredibly competitive. I like to have that camaraderie team feel where we're all kind of in it together.
Okay.
So it makes sense for me. But I also work with clients that are like, hey, I just want to move my body. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, let's move your body in ways that make sense. Let's do it under load. Let's make sure that your nutrition matches your goals and you're situated appropriately for what your goals and desires are.
So can I work out and still have donuts?
Babes, I work out to eat the donuts. No, this is 100% about eating the food that I want to eat.
Okay.
So have you guys ever seen 600 Pound Life?
So I have, yes.
So you know Dr. Now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have like 8 magnets on my refrigerator of Dr. Now sayings. So every time I go late at night to have a snack, there's a Dr. Now saying like, do you really need that? Or you could have lost 30 pounds in the past month, because you know that's what he says all the time. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's some of my accountability, but sometimes I just don't look at it as
you just totally like triggered me.
My kid watches it and I'm like, turn this mess off. This is too much. But
it's inspiring though. When you see people that can't even get out of their bed, you're like, okay, I better go to the gym now.
Listen, and there's been some success stories that they've 100%. Really turned their life around.
Yeah. So one of my favorite all-time shows, I'm a huge reality junkie, is 1,000 Pound Sisters. Have you seen that?
Oh my gosh, I have. So
yeah, with Tammy and Amy. My best friend got me a cameo from Amy for my birthday, and I absolutely loved it.
I was prepared for you to say something in the Bravo universe, and you're like, no.
Well, he is a Bravo.
I did go to Bravo
addict.
Oh, did you go to Bravo?
Vegas, yeah.
Okay. He's a Bravo addict.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, the 1,000 Pound Sisters are wild.
Yeah.
I just want to know for anybody watching, neither of them are single.
I feel like that's a little bit of a dig at David there.
I'm just saying, there is love for everybody. There's someone or multiple people for every person.
True and funny. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I can't even say it. So anyway, the new season has just started on TLC if you'd like to watch. All right.
I'm going to have to look it up now because I'm like, I've never seen that show.
Oh no, it is great TV.
Okay.
Great TV.
I feel like we could talk forever. It's been so fun having you on today.
Oh, thank you.
Any final thoughts or any final things you want to mention or call out or shout out?
Let's see. We're going into hurricane season, so make sure that you are appropriately prepared for hurricane season here
Absolutely.
in the Central Florida area, making sure that you are documenting the things that are in your house now. So if that is via video on your phone, that is great because it is time and date stamped, so that you are having conversations with your insurer to see what you are covered by. Now is the time to have those conversations, not on the back end. And to go ahead and to start stocking up on those hurricane supplies.
God, I wish
I know
we did
we
not
hate
have
thinking
hurricanes.
about it, but as right after Pride, we'll go into July and then.
I know last year it was, I think, end of August, and my BFF said, "We made it. There's no more hurricanes." And I was I'm like, and so unfortunately, now we
hurricane season doesn't end until November.
I know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
whatever's happening.
But I think it's a great call out for sure.
Yeah.
So, and Pride was going to be phenomenal this year. So if you're watching this at home, come out. It's going to be a great time. You are likely going to meet new people and new friends, and we want that. We want you to build relationships across difference. We want you to meet new people because we recognize like the only way we are going to change is if you build deep relationships with people that you don't know.
Right.
Absolutely.
And have different life experiences. Which,
for
to
sure.
the point about the 1,000
So if you're
pound
on the
sisters.
edge about going or not, just go. You're going to love it.
Just go.
Just go.
Yeah, and people
go.
are
It'd be great.
so friendly. You know, you
Absolutely.
can meet new people.
Come find me.
Yep, there you go.
I will be running around like a chicken with my head cut off, but I will be very nice.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks for coming on, Paul.
Thank
Any
you all for
final
having us.
last words for you?
So if you'd like to be a guest on the Skittle Squad podcast, or if you'd like to be a sponsor of the show, you can reach us at our email address at contact@theskittlesquad.com.
We are so excited to have you listening and watching, and we're only here because you're here watching and listening. So follow us on all of our socials at the Skittle Squad Podcast. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.